K-1 World Grand Prix 2001 is actually a great PlayStation 2 game. Whether or not it'll be released here in the States is another question. If you're unfamiliar with the K-1 name, the kickboxing sport that is famous in Japan has some big name fighters that you'd see other places like the UFC and stuff. Some of the fighters that you would see is Musashi, Ernesto Hoost, and basically they all have varied punches and kicks, and it's all represented in the game very well. The best thing about K-1 World Grand Prix is the knockouts. Knocking somebody out in the game is incredibly fun and rewarding. The satisfaction you get from knocking somebody out in the game is by far and away the best out of any boxing game I've seen so far. And simply, it might be a little too much actually though. The balance is rather realistic in terms of you land a big shot, you land a big kick, they're going to go down. There's a gameplay element that they've added into it which is represented on the screen by showing damage points on your fighter. You have 3 damage points, one for the head, one for the midsection, and one for the legs. So attacking that part of the body over and over again repeatedly actually causes more and more damage to be inflicted. You'll see the color of the indicators that are for that spot in the body you're attacking change. Green being, you're okay. Yellow being, you're getting hurt. Red being, you're going to take another shot, you're going to go down because you're, damaged too much. So it's, repeatedly attacking those damaged spots will send fighters down. So being able to protect and defend against those attacks that are affecting your damaged areas is important. The only big problem with K-1 is simply that the game is rather easy, especially for the expense and time that you're going to put into actually importing a copy of this. It's almost too easy. The difficulty varies in the different modes, but for the most part, overall, once you learn a certain fighter's technique, once you learn his range and figure out, how to best effectively use him, the computer is pretty much a pushover. Going through the game, survival mode, basically you can get, 30 wins, without really blinking an eye. All first round knockouts. The game's super knockout heavy, which is good if you're a fan of it, and I am personally, but it is quite easy for an import. The game includes several game modes. Standard exhibition where 1 and 2 players can easily pick 2 different fighters and go at it. A career mode of sorts basically takes you through a tournament. There's basically 3 tiers to the tournament. You got to fight, say, 30 fighters in that tournament to overall win. Going through that mode unlocks different movies and little messages from the fighter that you're playing as. There's cool stuff to see, full motion video stuff to see, and it's fairly rewarding. Visually, K-1 World Grand Prix 2001 for PlayStation 2, it's kind of cool because the textures on the fighters themselves, like their skin, especially when you get knocked down, you got a close-up view of them. The texture for their skin looks really good. You can see like little moles. You can see, it just looks like skin. It looks really good. As far as the overall look of the fighters, they do look pretty good. Animation's kind of a little, chunky here and there, but for the most part, the game does look pretty good. The one thing that's completely, totally obvious that looks terrible is the crowd. They've obviously focused more of their attention on the polygonal fighters, of course, and bulking them up with polygons and making them look as good as possible. But if sacrifice, you look at, every once in a while you'll glance behind them and see the crowd. You're just like, what is that? The audio in K-1 World Grand Prix is actually really good. And the simple fact is, it's got incredibly lifelike. If you've ever seen any of the K-1 stuff on TV before, you'll play this game if you play it, and you'll see and hear, yeah, it sounds just like it. Ernesto! In the end, K-1 World Grand Prix 2001 for the PlayStation 2 is a good game. Whether or not you should go through the time and effort and expense to import it is another question. It is very easy. It's a lot of fun, but whether it's worth going through all that effort is another story. Hopefully, Konami will just simply bring the game out here, and K-1 fans can just pick it up here in the States. We haven't heard any news whether or not that's going to happen. So right now, the only way to get the game is by importing it.